Hey everyone, welcome back to Williamson Ridge Outdoors. Today we are back out here at our 2023 Chevy Silverado 2500 HD with the Duramax diesel because we've got another little maintenance thing that we're going to be doing today, and I'm going to be changing the fuel filter in it. So once again, this is a job that the dealer priced me at $180. The way that I purchased my filters this time was actually in a kit where I had the fuel filter, the oil filter, the air filter, and the in-cabin filter. And all those combined was less than $100. Now keep in mind, I called the dealer and I asked them about the fuel filter, and they wanted to charge $100 and some just for the filter itself. But the dealer was pricing the replacement element inside plus the outside container. And from what I've seen, you don't need to replace that outside container every single time you change the filter. You pull that container loose, you change the inside of the filter out, and then you put it back on. Now, if you had issues with it leaking or something going on, then it would be, maybe a need to go ahead and change that. But there is no need to change that every single time you just change your fuel filter. So I'm going to be using the Dox Diesel Premium Diesel Filter. And again, this was bought in a complete kit for the 6.6 Duramax. This particular filter is the DGF 429. So I mainly wanted to kind of show today that, again, with just a couple simple tools, you can do a lot of this maintenance yourself and save yourself a lot of money. So what's great about this too is that the tools are minimal on this. You need a 36mm socket and a ratchet. That's pretty much it. So let's get started on this. I'll take you under the truck and show you how to do this, and it should be a pretty simple process. I did not have a 36mm socket, so I went ahead and ordered one, but instead of ordering just one socket for 12 bucks, I got a whole set for like $35. I have a set from Harbor Freight that the set does not have, it'll go from like a 27 to a 29, then to like a 32, and it skips some of these. So I went ahead and got this set that has no skips from a 30 all the way up to the 36 that we're going to use. Plus this kit has a swivel adapter that kind of help you get into some tighter spaces, and also a couple of adapters from like a 1/2 inch to a 3/8, and then also a 3/8 to a 1/2 inch. So this whole kit, like I said, was like 35 bucks. So I figured why not get that instead of paying 12 bucks for one socket. So we are going to be using the 36mm. That's what the filter takes underneath the truck. And these are a 6-point socket. So I would be careful about using something like a 12-point because the way that filter is made, it's made for a 6-point, and this has better contact than what a 12-point would make. And the fuel filter is pretty much located between the fuel tank and the def tank. And this is lefty-loosey, righty-tighty for this. Now you are going to lose a little bit of diesel out your filter. I got to move my camera because it's dripping on it. Got my drain pan over here under it. I recommend wearing a glove of some sort to keep that diesel off your hands. Now take notice too, whenever this comes loose, there's a gasket. This is blue gasket right here. You want to make sure that you replace that. The filter actually comes with a new gasket, so we will use the one out of the kit to put on there. So if you see that little piece hanging down right there, there's also a little O-ring that goes right on the end of that. That also comes with the filter. So now that we have the filter out of the truck, then all we got to do is just pull out the filter element. And it might take a little bit of wiggling to get it out of there. And you can see it just popped out. Whenever I put my new filter in here, I'm going to put a little bit of diesel fuel on the seals. I am going to dump this out so that there's no contaminated fuel in there, and you know, I kind of cleaned it out and everything before I actually put it back on the truck. So the filter is specific. It goes in a certain way. One end of it actually has a rubber gasket on it and has a small end. The top side of it has a large opening on it. So we're going to take our old gasket. I've got a little pick set that I got from Harbor Freight for like $1.99. And I'm just going to kind of hook behind that, and you can just pull that right off of there. The kit does come with a new gasket, so we're going to go ahead and put that on there. And that looks good right there. Now we're going to put our element back in. There it goes. So you can feel it good, a good positive click as it goes into place. All right, so this one has a little tiny gasket on it too. And you can get your little pick behind it and just pull it off. The little tiny blue O-ring. We've got our little O-ring back on there, and now it's time to just thread our new filter element and housing back on. So we're just going to ease that up in there, kind of making sure everything's lining up good as we're putting it in. Make sure we're not cross threading. It should thread pretty easy through the first section. Now we can get our 36mm socket back. And again, this is righty-tighty to put it back on. And when that gets all the way tight, you will feel it stop. It's a pretty positive stop right there, so we're good to go. Okay, so now all we got to do is just prime the system and make sure we got fuel in our filter and everything before we go to start it. So we're going to jump in the truck. We're just going to turn the key on, but not start it. We're going to turn it to the run position. And then just let it sit there for a minute. Now that actually took a minute. I could hear the pump from inside the truck, and I could hear it bubbling and, you know, kind of like, you know, air bubbles and stuff in there. And it finally, you could hear it kick in and then fill up, and the pump kicked off. So I'm going to turn the key back off, and then we're going to do that again. I'm going to turn the key back to the run position. And it sounds like that it's good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and look under the truck real quick and make sure we don't have any leaks. Right now the system should have pressure on it. I think we're good. Turn the key off, and then I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back to the run position one more time. And now we're gonna start it. So it seems to be good right there. It did crank a little bit more, but that's to be expected because you're still going to have air in the lines above that filter. So the filter, when you prime it, it's filling that filter up, but then the air that was in the line, you know, that still had to go through that line first. So it cranked a little bit more. It fired up, and whenever it fired, it's running perfect. There's not a miss. There's nothing going on with it. So it seems to be perfectly fine. So one more time, I will go underneath the truck. I'm going to double check everything, make sure there's not any leaks around that filter, and then we're good to go. So she's purring like a kitten, running just like she did when she was new. Like I say, the main thing is, you know, making sure you replace those gaskets, but once you prime it and you get that filter full of fuel, it's just a straight shot through the lines into the motor, and then you've got everything good and ready to go. Man, I love how smooth this Duramax runs. It's just amazing how smooth that engine runs. So one last thing we got to do, we need to reset the filter life. And on this particular model, we just have the gauge cluster where you just turn the knob to select different options. And when you get to the one that says fuel filter life, you just push the button. It asks you if you want to reset it. You turn the knob, tell it yes. There we go. Now I don't know why that you have to do that, but you tell it yes that you want to reset it, and I had to turn the ignition off and then back on, and now you can see that the fuel filter life is reset. Whenever I done the oil life, it was not the case. You just pushed the button and told it, and it reset it, and it showed up right then. But for some reason, I don't know if that was a glitch in the system, but when I turned the truck off and turned it back on, you can see now the fuel filter life went up to 100%. So now I'm gonna go ahead and start it back up again just to make sure that everything's good. And she fired right up. So guys, I hope this video helps you out. Like I say, I like to make videos like this because it saves you so much money, you know, from over going to the dealership. Now, one thing too that you do want to do is make sure you keep track of your filter changes and have receipts and stuff, because if there ever is an issue, then you need to have records of those oil changes and filter changes and all that. So if you do take this on yourself to save some serious money, then make sure to keep records of it. That way that they don't have a leg to stand on if it comes to a warranty issue. You can show your service, show everything that you've done to it, what kind of oils and everything you put in it. And by keeping that record and being, you know, a little bit maybe, a little bit of paperwork for you, but it saves you a whole bunch of money from going to the dealership. It only took a couple tools. We had a 36mm socket on a ratchet, and we had that little pick tool. That's pretty much all you need. Also, I'll put links for everything that I used in this video, and some of them will be affiliate links, some of them won't, but there'll be items down there, pretty much everything that was used to change this filter out. So thanks for following along today. If you did enjoy it and you got some help out of it, I really appreciate you hitting that thumbs up button. Follow along for all the other projects we have going on around the property. And until next time, keep it outdoors, and we'll see you on the next one.